Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Balance Club Culture Festival 2020 Web Edition.
Woo!
My name is Sarah Farina, and this is
I'm Liza. Hi, everyone.
right. And we basically gonna interview each other today, and after this talk, you'll be able to hear a DJ set by LYZZA. And on Friday, my DJ set will be streamed.
Sick. All right.
Right.
So how would you describe yourself? How would you describe yourself?
When it comes to my work and me being an artist, I'm a DJ and producer, and I describe my music as rainbow based because music and vibes translate into color for me. And, I came up with the term rainbow bass because I'm sure as a DJ and producer, like people ask you all the time, what kind
Yeah.
of music do you play?
Yeah.
And I kind of got tired, like, naming different genres all the time. So for me, rainbow bass is like, how genres have like different colors. For me, they're very colorful and they're all connected to each other, like the
Yeah.
colors in a rainbow.
Yeah.
And bass is basically the essence of club music for me.
Mhm.
And yeah, it just sounds visualized like a rainbow to me, and it's just naturally connected to each other.
Cool.
And yeah, that's who I am and what I do. What about
And
you?
how
Oh, sorry.
how long have you been like how long have you been let's say professionally like making music for like since how long has it been since you've been doing gigs?
um, I think 2011. Man, that's long. Shit, I'm getting
Yeah,
old.
it's a long time.
So and since a few years, I've been lucky enough to actually be self-employed and only do my music thing. So I'm super
Mhm.
thankful for that.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So
Cause I also read that you started like a collective in
yeah,
end 2010 or like start 2011.
exactly. So just happened very naturally. You know how you like meet like-minded people, and then you want to support each other, and then you start doing parties, and you need to come up with a name and stuff.
Yeah,
So that's what happened there.
that's sick.
Yeah. What about you? Like, um, who are you? What do you do? And yeah, where are you
Um,
in your career right now?
so I'm Liza for the people who don't know. I'm a DJ, vocalist, producer. I've been professionally I guess I am a professional musician, but it never feels like that, you know? I guess I've been professionally making music since 2016, like getting gigs, and I think from end 2018, I was able to fully support myself with my music. Um, so yeah, I run a party in Amsterdam called Triple X that focuses on the LGBTQIA community and people of color because yeah, Amsterdam doesn't really have a lot of queer parties. We were like one of the first people to actually name ourselves that and like put that on the poster and stuff because a lot of people were like too scared to like say that um, they do that. Um, yeah, where am I in my career? I have 3 EPs out. I would love for my next step to be an album, but I don't know if I'm ready for one. you know,
Mm-hmm.
I think an album should be very like it should be like that piece of work that like really speaks like a story and like I'm not sure if I'm ready, but we'll see. We'll see. So
Wow,
yeah,
that's pretty amazing. I'm like so impressed by you just started basically in 2016,
yeah,
and now you're doing all these things and like you have already released 3 EPs.
yeah. It's pretty. I mean, I just it's because like I just make music all the time, you know. So it's like it's gotta go somewhere, and like that just became EPs. But yeah, I feel really blessed to like be able to I feel really blessed to like be able to do this, especially because I've not had like you know, I've not really like been able to like I moved to London and I didn't have like the financial support of like my parents or like a lot like a big like background in like, you know, having a lot of money pushed into me, and a lot of people I guess do, which is completely fine, but it's like I never thought that it would happen so quickly, like seeing at like the privileges that I didn't have, you know. So it's been pretty cool. It's pretty sick. Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah. Would have been super cool to meet each other in Leipzig this weekend.
Yeah, I know. I think I remember, I saw you one time for 5 minutes, and we were sharing like a festival bus at a festival in Switzerland or something. I don't remember the name of the festival right now, but like, yeah, we were like in a bus with a bunch of other artists or something.
Yeah.
I think you were there. I'm not sure.
Probably. It's so crazy. I remember like I was talking to a friend about like the artist lifestyle, and like, not that we're like crazy like, you know, oh, like, famous like people, but it's crazy because when you do a lot of gigs, like 2 years pass by, 3 years pass by, and it's kind of just like your remembrance of things is just like empty skeletons, you know, like you don't really remember exactly who you met, like you don't remember exactly like who you shook hands with, but you do know that like everybody was like really nice, you know. It's like you meet so many people who are into your music, and you're like the next day or like the next weekend you're already like with other people, and it becomes so like such a like cloud of just like, I know I've been here, but like I don't really know what happened.
It's so true.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's like also similar what happens, you know. You
exactly.
go on a plane or on a train, you meet a group of promoters or whatever. It's just like keeps repeating. But,
yeah.
So the next question, how and where are you in this crazy times and times of crisis?
Well, I'm doing okay. I'm actually doing pretty okay. I lived in London, and I was in the process of moving to Berlin, and I was taking all my luggage from London to my mom's house so I could like easily move to Berlin with like a car or something. And then Corona happened, so I'm like in my childhood bedroom, which is like all these posters or like, you know, like Blood Orange, like all the people that I looked up to when I was younger. So it's okay. I'm like super happy and lucky to like not be worried about paying bills right now, which is something that I think is one of the things that we, or like not me, but most artists are like so worried about right now, you know, like paying bills or like getting any money, which is I'm like super lucky and privileged to like not be worried about that right now. So I'm doing fine, you know, like I actually don't have anything to complain about.
And are you still able to be creative?
Yes and no. At first I was like putting a lot of pressure on myself to be really creative. Like, you need to come out of this crisis and like have so much new work. And then actually, like, I think week 3 or week 4, because I think this is like my 10th week of, or like 11th week of like not having been outside. And I think like week 5 or something, like about 3 weeks ago, I was like, you know what, like, if you don't do anything this week, like, there's still gonna be next week, like, it's actually okay. And also like honestly, if I come out of this like pandemic just like mentally okay, like that's already like a pretty good like thing, you know. So yeah, how have you been coping? Like, where are you with your head during all of this?
Yeah, by the way, I love your perspective. That's really sounds very healthy.
Yeah.
So when all of this happened, I was in Thailand on vacation and also for work in Bangkok. And while I was on the island, it's like a sleepy island and there are not many people. I wasn't really like checking the news. So it was kind of weird when me and my partner went back to Bangkok to host some DJ workshops. You're like, whoa, wait, what's going on here? Like, something is weird.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's first we were like, maybe this is like some panic mode and I'm not sure about this yet. And on the day we arrived back in Berlin, this was when like really things were starting to get really serious.
Yeah.
And first it gave me a lot of anxiety because I'm self-employed. I don't have like rich parents or whatever, you know what I mean? I don't have that kind of privilege. So I was really scared. And I mean, I'm lucky enough to be able to live in Berlin, in Germany. And when it comes to like health insurance and all of these things, it's just like a Disneyland here, to be honest, you know? So a lot of artists were able to get support from the state and it came really fast, which was amazing. And so I was okay. I'm okay now. But I have to be honest, sometimes I'm kind of moody. You know, I'm like, what the fuck is actually going on? And it's quite scary.
It is really scary.
You know, and especially when I like speak to my friends and family in New York or Detroit, and just like, I feel like this whole situation just really intensifies all the problems that we had before even more.
Yeah.
And if you're a very sensitive person, it's just very overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah.
But now I feel like I found like a healthy routine that I tried to follow most of the time. So I'm doing fine. And now I'm like finished a lot of music. I'm quite happy about it. You know, it helps me to like overcome my impostor syndrome. And so yeah, I'm doing okay now.
Yeah, that's good. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
for being able to do that. It's really hard, especially like when you are by yourself, and you know, I think a lot of people, when you're like a very sensitive person, like you rely a lot of times on like your support system to kind of like give you reality checks from time to time. And I think when everyone is just like so apart from each other, and also like you being very much faced with just like people that you care about just like really going through hard times, like it can be very crippling, I think. Yeah, it's
totally
pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So and how do you think the crisis is affecting your work or your creativity?
I mean, because I was so full of anxiety the first few weeks, I couldn't do anything. I'm like, I need to make sure how I can pay my bills and taxes and everything before I'm able to have that kind of headspace to be creative.
Yeah.
But, you know, as I said, now where I've found like my my structure more and more, it's actually a lot of fun. You know, I'm watching a lot of YouTube tutorials like for Ableton and stuff. Like I can be very nerdy about stuff, and I don't feel like I'm losing any time. You know,
yeah,
it's just
exactly.
Because there's nothing much else to do. And yeah, I'm just trying to, especially when I don't know, do you use Ableton?
I use Logic.
Ah, interesting. Okay. So yeah, I'm just trying to just be more nerdy about Ableton and just learn it like it's an instrument, you know, and just like at the end of the day, just trying to find my own sound. So I was actually wondering, you already released 3 EPs, like. In terms of like finding your own sound, like where do you are right now? Do you feel like you have it now, or is it still like a process?
It's a process for sure. To be honest, I don't think I have my own sound, but then other people who listen to my music are like, oh, like you have dreamy synths, and like I think as an artist is like the same way that you. Because I think it's the same with DJing. Like, it's not like you chose a genre, you know? Like, it's not like you play something that you chose. It's like you select music that, like, does something to you. And I think with producing, it's the same thing. Like, I don't choose, like, what I'm gonna make. I'm not, okay, like, today I'm gonna make this. It's like, I try out different synths. I, like, open my synths, and I'm like, oh, this sounds great, you know? And then everything that comes together, like, I guess, is your sound. And that's also something that, a good friend of me told me once. He's like, you don't have to worry about what is your sound. Like, anything you make is you, you know? So I was like, actually, that's really, like, I'm just gonna make music, you know? And, like, not really worry too much about, like, how the people are gonna perceive me, you know, because people are just gonna perceive you in whatever way they want to anyways. That's also what attracts us to like big celebrities that like don't say anything, and like why really big celebrities that don't have like a political stance or like don't speak on TV about anything except themselves, like why people like fan over them, because like they have so much space to like fill in, you know. So yeah, I'm just like, I don't know what my sound is, but apparently I have one. Like I don't know.
And maybe it's like not even like a sound that you could describe, but more a feeling, you know.
Yeah, no, I definitely, whenever I make music, I try to make music from a feeling where like I was pretty late, because I have a lot of like anxiety, so I it took a long time for me to like actually go to like festivals, and like it took a long time for me to like I was always very late with things. Like, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this on this platform, but like I don't think I like compared to a lot of my friends, like I was like one of the last people to like try out different substances and like go to a festival. And I just remember that when I did go to a festival, it was like such an age where like I was such a sponge. I was like 17 or like 16, you know. I really like was actively perceiving everything. And I just remember like finding out about new music and just hearing artists for the first time, and just like being on a substance and like being in the front row and like hearing like a bass sound come in and just being like, oh my god, you know. Like like that is something that when I make music and I try to listen to it, I always try to think of, imagine if somebody heard me play this at a festival and they had no idea who I am, and they heard me for the first time, like would this make their eyes roll to the back of their head, you know? Like would this like get them? So that's something that I try to do.
That's super cool, because that's like you know, making it more accessible for all kinds of people.
Yeah, I think I think that's also one of the things that I like the most about music, and is also what I don't know, what I've really tried to do is, I remember my first EP, like I was really so angsty, and I was like, oh, I'm so like misunderstood, and like, you know, like nobody gets me, and like my music definitely like reflected a lot of that, I feel. And then my last records are more like, I kind of realized like the beautiful thing about music is like letting people who don't get you understand you. So I'm just trying to, you know, try to like, that's why I'm trying to like make it more like a universal thing. But yeah. How about you? Are you struggling with like finding your sound, do you feel?
Yeah, I'm like, I hate this fucking imposter syndrome so much, and girl, it keeps
sorry.
Yeah, just say it.
My last, not my last, but like the EP before is called Impostor. I like named my EP Impostor because I was like imposter syndrome like as fuck, you know. But sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like I'm getting better with it. It goes away. Sometimes it comes back, but I feel like I have it more under control. And you know, I'm first of all, I'm a DJ. It's like DJ and then producer. But there's also this urge to like, I want to produce my own music, because sometimes you're like, man, I'm looking for this song and it's just not out there yet. I want to play it in my set, you know. And yeah, I don't know. It's also for me about making club music more accessible for all kinds of people, and that's also why I use the term rainbow bass, because most of the time people are like, wait, what does it mean? And they try to like start using their brain more.
Yeah.
You know, when I say house and jungle music and dubstep, they already have like their ideas, right? And I kind of like don't like that, because dubstep could mean many things, for example, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be not too hard on myself. So, but I was thinking, in terms of releasing music, I don't want to be too confusing about like having this whole story in my release. Sometimes it's okay just to put out 5 banging tracks, and they don't have to be too connected to each other. Yeah. You know, if they can stand alone for themselves because they're that good, I think that's enough.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm trying to get right now, just to be okay with that and not to just to think too much, basically, you know.
Yeah. I think that's a very like it's a very important but also a very hard step to like learn to let go of things. To me, I don't feel like I've worked through that. It's like, it's kind of like not a thing where I fully accepted myself and I'm like, I'll let go. It's kind of like kind of self-deprecating where sometimes I'm like, I honestly can't do better. And I'm like, I'll just like let it go, you know? But yeah, imposter syndrome is really, really difficult. And I mean, I also deal with it a lot. And it was also like one of the main reasons that I wanted to call my second EP Imposter. And because I didn't even know what imposter syndrome was. I just remember I like posted something on Facebook and I was like, because Nicholas Jar sent me a message on Twitter being like, your music is great. And I was just
wow.
like, and I was just like, what the fuck? And I posted like on Facebook, I was like, how did this happen? I was like, I don't understand. Like, how did this person say my music is great? And like somebody else was like, have you ever heard of imposter syndrome? And I was like, what is that? And they were like, and then I read it and I was like, damn, like I have this, like, and I don't know, it's kind of one of those things where I feel like as women of color, like it's so rare to see women of color like in electronic music and like in these places where you want to be, that like every single time you get to a point you like feel like I'm not supposed to be here, you know? And it's so weird and crazy, and it's like you feel like, oh, like I must have done something like sneaky to get here, because like usually people like me don't get here, you know? And it's really like, yeah, it's really something that it's really annoying to have to work through all the time. But I also think you and me also like realizing that you have it is already such like a good thing to like know what it means.
Yeah, we have words for it now. So for so many different issues, and like I'm so happy to be able to be part of this generation and movements and stuff, you know, where we can like name things and like find our groups.
Yeah.
Like and build our like support networks and all that. And like yeah, I totally feel what you're saying, like being a woman of color and feeling like you don't belong there or whatever, you know, it's just it's a lot for sure.
It is a lot. Like, yeah, and talking about support systems, next question, what does allyship mean to you?
Okay. I mean, to put it really simple, it means for me caring about the safety and happiness of other people, and you know, basically practicing empathy and kindness. And I think the most important thing is, if you want to be an ally, you have to be ready to get uncomfortable, you know, and, you know, listen and educate yourself. And I think that's a really important point when it comes to education. Like, I have a hard time when people always come to me and ask me, like, how can I do better as a man or a white person or whatever? And sometimes I just don't have it's like, you know, it's emotional labor. I don't have the capacity all the time to explain to a lot of white folks how to do better. So I feel like if you want to be an ally, just make sure not to, you know, or just use the internet, you know.
Yeah, like internet is free.
Exactly.
I like literally tell everyone like, yo, like you have Google on your phone, right? Like I used to try, like it's a very you know, like it's very like one or the other. Like sometimes it's like people I actually care about. Like not that I don't care about people, but sometimes it's people that like try to do the work and I see they've tried to do the work and they're just honestly like, you know, more intricate cases, they're honestly like, they've just lived a life of like privilege and they just honestly don't understand. Like they don't even know how to get like what to Google, you know? But then there's people who like honestly just are too lazy to. They're just like, just tell me how to better myself. And it's like, no, like you have to do the work. Cause
exactly.
So many people love to want to sit on the table without having done the work to like, that it takes to like sit on the table and like get to like speak about certain things.
So true.
And it's always and people always think it's the responsibility of like marginalized identities to do the job of other people, like, how can we make this better? And like people always look at like marginalized identities to like give them an answer on how to make things better, and it's like, why don't you make it better? Because you're the only one that's holding up like this system of like privilege, you know? Like,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
100%. And it's just like, you know, it's they have to realize, or we all have like some set of privileges, right? I have to learn some things too all the time, and just accepting that it's like a process that will never end.
It is a process.
You know, we'll make mistakes, and just like, you know, learn how to think and feel and act in like more intersectional feminist kind of ways. And like, but it's, as you said, like, people ask Black and brown people to solve racism, they ask women to solve sexism and all those kind of things, but like, it's like, who are you as a person? Like, what do you contribute to the system of oppression? You know, you have to start yourself asking questions.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like especially as a person who belongs to a marginalized group myself, it's really important to like protect your energy as well. You know, but as you said, like,
I think to answer what allyship means to me, I think that's also one of the reasons why I think allyship is just so important to me, because it's like it's what keeps you going, you know? It's like seeing all the faces and people, and like knowing that there's a group of people that you're doing it for, if that makes sense. Like, because I think it's very easy to, like, when you're an artist or like anyone, like constantly just trying to do things for yourself, that can be very hard, because like sometimes you might be in a state of mind where you're like, I don't even deserve anything, you know? Or like, why should I even do this for myself? Like, am I worth it, you know? Like, and I think especially in the arts, as 85% of people in the arts deal with either bipolar disorder or depression, I think it's very like important to like have people that, like, you know, okay, even if I don't want to do it for myself, like there's other people that I want to do it for, and there's people that are there for me when I'm not there for myself, you know? I think that's so important, and I think that's one of the things that I've just loved so much about, I guess, being in electronic music, is even though like only on screen you might only see like all these like really like cis white men techno DJs, like just being in the actual like underbelly of like the electronic scene, like actually getting to meet like so many like sick like people that look like me, you know, or like people that have gone through the same things, like it's so like refreshing, and it made me feel like I'm not in this by myself, you know? It's like, damn, like I felt so lonely, and it's like, no, like there's so many people like you, like me, who are like all in this together, and it feels really good, you know?
Yeah, it's so powerful, like the sense of belonging.
Yeah, it is. And I think especially as like a DJ or an artist, like I think that sense of belonging is so like it plays such a big deal, because I feel like most artists want to make music and have their music speak to other people because they want to feel like they belong in that group, you know?
And
yeah, I think,
sorry,
you know, I was just gonna say, I think that's also why so many people are like, my fans are my life, you know? Because it's like they finally feel like they're part of like something, you know?
Yeah, it's so powerful. It's like we actually like, we can make things happen, you know? And something I wanted to ask you, so like when it comes to different music genres, that's why I feel like people like you and me are so important too. When you think of techno music, house, jungle music, almost every genre, it's pretty much whitewashed. And that's why I'm so happy to see people like you playing all these kinds of genres. You know, you're like claiming it back.
Yeah, it's
and
very
that's
important.
so powerful.
Yeah, I think we're both doing a great job. I think we need a little second to be like, hey, we rock.
That's cool. All right. So the next question is, what comes to your mind when you hear the festival theme Tender Squats?
Tender squads. I mean, I guess what we just discussed, you know, like just being in like a group of people who are like we're all together, but like obviously we all deal with so much. Um, which is it's kind of like a silver lining, because as much as I feel like, you know, the strongest people are usually the most tender, you know, it's like uh yeah, it's like the people who like you think they're oh so powerful, and like you look at them and you think they're oh my god, you're so strong, and like, you know, they go home and they have to like actually really deal with like feelings of imposter syndrome, like feelings of depression, like other things, mental health issues, and that come with, you know, being just not only like in the limelight and like having people look at you, but also just being yourself, you know. So I guess maybe Tender Squads, what comes to my mind is just like, yeah, I think it's a good theme for a festival. It's like we're all just Tender Squads, like raving.
It's so funny because actually the first thing that came into my mind was the Care Bears.
Oh my god, the Care Bears!
Because, you know, it's like this super cute group of bears, and they basically sharing the message of like caring, sharing, and supporting each other.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's the first thing that
funny.
came into my mind, and I feel like those groups that we just talked about, like those safety networks, you know, like they make us feel safe and seen, and just like it gives you the opportunity to be your true authentic self without being judged, and that is so healing and powerful. And at the end of the day, you know, it's about cultivating joy.
Yeah, it is.
And I love that that being an ally or having allies is something that motivates you, and that it also brings out joy in you, which is beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's yeah, I don't know. I think it's just like one of those things where honestly, like I feel like when you've just like dealt with like a lot of like things in your brain, like mentally, and like it gives you a lot of compassion to other people, and I'm sure you experience this as well, like as you said, like being a sensitive person, like it just, once you've worked through things and you know what it's like to be in certain places like mentally, like all I want is for like other people to like be able to cope with those things. And I feel like music is such a good way to like give back to people, and also like make people feel understood, but also for people to like realize that they're not alone, you know? Because imagine if you were to do a concert or like a DJ set and you're like the main artist, and like you sell out like 2,000 tickets or something. Like that means that like all those people like are coming together, and like they all feel something that like connects them to your music. And I think that's also what I really love about like fan bases and fandoms. Like I used to be a crazy One Direction fan when I was like younger. Like I used to love them, and one of the best things about being in a fandom is I was like at home, like on Twitter. I was like age 12 or something, or like 13. I was like on Twitter, like talking to other people like all over the world, and I just like felt like, damn, like these are my friends, like we really love each other. And also like, you know, Lady Gaga and her Monsters, like so many people who like got to meet each other like through just going to her concerts and stuff. I don't know, it's just like, it's just, I think for a lot of artists, like it just comes naturally to like, you know, just feel that way.
Yeah, it's funny that you talk about this fandom, because my cousin, she's very young, and I went to a K-pop concert with her.
Oh my god, cute.
It was the first time, and I don't know much about the K-pop culture.
Yeah.
And I've never seen such loving, committed fans.
Yeah,
and the
crazy.
community they had.
Yeah. It's crazy because like they can just like look at each other and like hold each other, and be like, oh my god, and like hug each other, you know. And it's like
I was so touched by it. I almost cried, not because of the music, it didn't resonate with me, but like just like, man, there's so much love in this room. Like, aw, I love you guys, and I'm glad you found this thing, you know.
Yeah. I remember I was at Glastonbury, and I saw The Cure perform, which is like was such a dream. Like I love The Cure so much.
Yeah, they're great.
And I remember like Rob Smith, like at some point of singing, he like looked into the crowd and he was like, I want you guys to realize that the fact that all of you chose to stand here and listen to me, that like you're all like I am and I'm like you. And I was like, that's such that's such a powerful thing to like actually tell people when they're watching you, because Glastonbury is the biggest festival on the planet, you know, like people could have been watching Skepta or like Janet Jackson somewhere else, you know, like if they wanted to. And it's just like such I think that's such like a powerful thing to like people really forget how powerful music can be and like how much of a uniting tool it can be. And I think a lot of producers and DJs that like maybe haven't been in the club circuit or like have been like maybe don't fully understand like the intensity that it can have. I mean, unless they like have big shows, you know, but I think especially being a DJ, like it's such a thing that you really get to experience, like unity on a dance floor, you know. And I think like so many magical moments that you can experience in like in between four walls, like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's like a couple of hours world peace.
Yeah, and it's insane. It's like which also obviously I mean there's also another question, but there's a question that says what space is a club or is contemporary club culture for you?
Yeah,
which I guess we can link to this conversation that we're having.
Yeah, it's all we just said. I feel like what we could add is something like, you know, a club that has an awareness team, accessibility, you know, just trying to make it the best experience for all, especially for marginalized folks.
Yeah.
And that, people should go home with a really good feeling. I think that should be the goal.
Yeah, it's really crazy because it's like, it's just it's such a beautiful thing to me. Like clubbing is such like a beautiful thing, I feel, and it just really like you said, like it's like a few hours of like world peace, you know. Like you're like in this place and like all of a sudden everything is okay and like people aren't being judged and you can dance and you can do whatever you want. And especially when you go a little bit more into the underground and like you can take your shirt off if you want, you know, being a male or a female, like it's like whatever you want to do. And it's just like, yeah, it's really like something crazy. And it's really crazy that like it's just it's so easy, you know, like it's so easy. And it's so crazy that like then you have to like go out into the real world and all of that is like non-existent. Which like comes back to like allyship, is like you could say that like even people in a club like are all your allies, you know. Like it's like clubs are definitely like a support system.
It's true, but I think we also really need to watch out how we use words like safe space and stuff like things like that, because I was wondering what do you think if there's a thing like a safe space, or are there just safer spaces?
Yeah, so the party that I do, Triple X, is a safer space party because there's no such thing as a safe space. Sorry, like it's non-existent. And that we also always say that like it's a safer space party because nowhere can fully be safe for anyone. I mean, we try to do the most that we can to ensure that, like, for our parties, we have security, but we mostly hire people to work for us who are women or people of color or people in the queer community. And usually, like, we always have like something that shows the people that you can like say something to. So for example, people know that I throw the party with my best friend, so like we always tell people like when they come in, like if anything happens and you see us, you can walk to the DJs, you can walk to us, like you don't have to talk to some scary bouncer, you know, if anything happens, like because some women might not feel comfortable going to a bouncer and be like, hey, like this happened, you know, and maybe the bouncer's not gonna take them as seriously. But we always try to like tell people that we work with, like, this is how we work, these are our rules, if you have to go into the party, if you go into the party and you break the rules, we can kick you out. And it's you try to, like, I think when you tell people that there's rules and that there's things they need to watch out for, like, usually just giving people that little bit of responsibility and, like, not to monitor other people but to monitor themselves, like, it really creates a really good environment. And yeah, I don't know, I'm lucky that until now we haven't had anything happen at our parties that was really crazy, or like we've had to kick people out just for, like, being, it's not really, like, being, some people just are annoying sometimes, like, they just bounce into other people all the time and aren't really respectful and, like, aren't aware of their energy in certain crowds. Like, we've kicked people out for, like, that, but we've not had cases of, like, something really crazy happening, which I'm really happy about. But obviously that stuff happens. Like, a lot of parties love to say, oh, we're a safe space party, and it's like, no, because like, it doesn't exist, and especially not in areas where there's drugs and alcohol. Like, there's a lot of blurred lines that you can't always control.
Very true. Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Totally the same, to be honest. I think it's not fun to communicate rules in general because it turns people off, but I feel like it depends on how you communicate those rules and still make it fun for everybody, like making being political fun.
Yeah.
And joyful. I feel like that's, like, very important. And just sometimes I wish there would be, like, some kind of, like, contract that every club in Berlin needs to sign.
Because you're based in Berlin?
Yes. So I hope you're gonna move here soon.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, yeah, it's crazy times, but I would love to be in Berlin.
Yeah. So I feel the same, but I'm positive because a lot of things have changed, and there's this new feminist movement, and we have more words for all the things that are happening to us. It's easier to find your community and be vocal and be active. It's easier for people to educate themselves. So most of the time I'm positive that there will be more modern club environments, and not just in Berlin or, like, in the big cities,
Yeah. I think...
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think with rules, it's just, like, rules generally suck, but, like, most of the rules, like, when you look at safer space party rules, it's just, like, basically just, like, don't be a dick and, like, don't do things. Like, it's, like, just don't do things that, like, you wouldn't like done to you, So it's not even, like, it's not even anything crazy. And I feel like anyone that's like, oh, I'm not gonna go to that party, like, they don't want me to, like, touch somebody without them, like, giving me consent. Like, I don't want you at my party, boo. You know what I mean? Like, you can stay home. Like, I'm okay with that, Yeah, because people love to be like, oh my god, safer space parties are so political. And I'm like, since when is it political to just have respect for one another? Like, But yeah, it's
yeah, it's just the number one rule is probably to never assume that people think and feel the same way as you.
Yeah.
So that's, like, why you need to be vocal about those things.
Yeah, but...
Okay. I think we have only one question left, right? Mm-hmm. About what political and artistic alliances are important to you. Is there anything that comes to your mind?
To be honest, I try to do as much, like, shadow work as I possibly can. And by shadow work, I mean, like, supporting people and giving opportunities without constantly, like, shouting out that you're, like, doing stuff for people, And that doesn't have to be a lot. That can also just be, like, checking in with people, like, making sure that, like, people are okay, like, um like if you have like a radio show, like ask somebody if they want to like do an hour, or like if you know people that make music, like buy their music. Like um it's just it's one of those things where I wish I wasn't constantly so aware of politics and like alliances, but I feel like when you're like women of color, like your whole existence is kind of political, so you're constantly very aware of like the things that could be better or the things that people should be getting and they don't get. But um honestly, like at the end of the day, like politically, like I just want like everyone of color to just win. Like if I'm being honest, like I just want people of color to win. Like that's at the end of the day, like I just want queer people to win, you know, like. And I think and not only win but also just be respected. Like I don't feel like you have to understand me necessarily when it comes to my identity, but you have to respect me, you know. um so yeah, for the rest I don't really know like
I
what.
think, yeah. Um, I totally feel what you're saying. I think when the most marginalized folks are free, we'll be all free. But a lot of people don't get that, unfortunately, and it's so simple in my head, because I think like if we have those beautiful spaces that we have in club culture, if we manage to have them more outside of this world too, people will be more happy, and we will have eventually a more peaceful world. And I just think it's it's so important to realize too that all of this can be so joyful, like you just said, like you're checking in with people. And I think that's also a form of activism. It's like activating your heart and your mind.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like it becomes very like um tiring sometimes. Like not tiring like the act, like I mean like it's very like thinking about everything that's wrong in the world. Like I can just like if I allow myself to like lay in my bed and think about every door that opens another door that opens another door about things that are wrong in this world, I could like cry, you know. Like I could cry the whole day. But um I think a way that made me like feel really powerful and like activism and doing things is just realizing that the best work that I can do to create a better world is to help the people and communities around me. And that if you do that, you are kind of making a better world. It's not on the scale of things that you'd want things to be better, you know, um, but on a scale. And we're never gonna, we as individual people are never gonna fix racism or like fix the climate change, you know, but we can like make people feel accepted in our surroundings. And I think that kind of gave me a lot of like mental peace, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um about the world and like how things easy could be, how easy things could be. um yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think um, joy is a form of resistance too. It's a super powerful tool, and um, I feel like when someone comes up to me after my DJ set, maybe a young girl, and she's like, "I want to learn DJing too, but I don't know how," and maybe she has imposter syndrome or whatever. Just as a DJ or the platform and resources that I have, I'll ask her for her email and be like, "Hey, I can send you the files that I use for my DJ workshops and just share them with you, and you can ask me anytime if you have any question." And if that leads to joy in her life, makes me happy too. And it's just like basically what you just said. I feel like we're on the
Yeah.
same page anyway. So
Yeah, we definitely are. Yeah,
yeah.
I think, but like you said, like it's always very much like a thing of like preserving your energy. Like as much as I do try to like do activism and help, I also realize that like I try to realize and try to remind myself that like me doing like me like doing what I do and like taking the like putting myself out there and like putting out music and like doing shows, as much as it's like it's not really activism, because I feel like, you know, you have to actually do stuff to like be an activist. But I do like try to remind myself like when I feel guilty or like when I feel like I'm not doing enough to help people around me, I do kind of try to just remind myself like, hey, like the fact that there's like a Black girl, you know, somewhere that like is listening to your music and is like, I want to be like that, or like I can produce music too, like that is already like such like a good thing, I think, to realize
and also
and be aware of.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, what you wanted to say? Be aware of. Yeah, sorry.
And be aware of, yeah, just to be aware of that.
I think also you just existing is already a statement, you know, you just being there. So I feel like you can be more kind to yourself and not feel bad if you just...
Yeah, no, for sure. That's that's what I try to do. That's what I try to do. And I honestly, like, I'm just, only because we're speaking of this, like, I honestly don't do that much. Like,
okay.
I'm not like, constantly, like, you know, but we're on the topic of it. But,
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a fun talk.
Same. It was really nice, and I hope you can come to Berlin soon.
That'd be really nice. Yeah,
so,
I hope that we can like hang out, maybe.
Yeah, sure. I'm here and would love to welcome you to the city.
Yeah, super too.
All right, so when this talk ends, people will be able to check out your DJ set.
Yeah.
And on Friday, everybody who is interested can listen to my DJ set.
Everyone should listen to her DJ set on Friday, basically.
All right.
All right. Well, bye.